I want to ask you a few questions. Do you believe the dollar is safe? Do you believe it's a time to panic about the dollar? Do you believe your money in the bank is safe? Do you believe the bank is actually going to make it? Do you actually believe that we can get rid of, $36 trillion worth of debt, which is actually a lot more? We'll discuss that. But do you honestly believe that we can get rid of that? Do you believe that we're going to just reset all the debt and it's all going to go away? Do you believe the purpose of devaluing the dollar is to bring in this new digital currency? That's a lot thrown at you, isn't it? Well, today we're going to be discussing all that because it deals with your money. The thing that I've learned is if I have money here, I have money there, I try to spread it out. I try to lower my risk because I believe we're in all these problems and we're in what I would consider the death spiral, for sure. But now what? What do we do? What happens next with our money? And why should we think about that? We're in a time where if we don't have independence financially, if we don't have independence in our life, then we have complete and utter dependence on someone or something. And I don't know if that benefits us at all. Let's dive into these stories because we're going to discuss the banking. We're going to discuss people like BlackRock. We're going to discuss the Trump administration, our government. Is the dollar safe? Let's dive into these subjects today. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. That means the world to us. And of course, it gets you entered into the drawing each and every month. Now, remember, check out my other channel, Life with Kobe Mack. We have the bunker video that we released telling you how we have, spent 3 years building this secret bunker in purpose of just preparing for crazy times. So go check that out. It's always a good thing to watch, not because everybody's building a bunker, it's because it allows us to see we're thinking outside the box. And that's kind of what this video is about. We're going to talk about some issues, the facts of America, and then we're going to talk about what happens next. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about this. Do we believe we can pay off the debt? Now, we have 37 trillion. They're saying by the year end, probably 40. This next big, beautiful bill, they said by the next 2 or 3 years, if not the next 5 years, we'll be over 50 trillion. That is what is shown with the debt. Now, that's one thing. Think about this. We have 35 to 40 trillion dollars worth of debt in 2025. Did you know the consumer debt, meaning people like us, people that have mortgages, people that have auto loans, student loans, other debts, credit cards, did you know that that adds up to be another 18 trillion or so in debt? So now we're up to what? That's well over 50 trillion. Here's the crazy thing. Do you know how much money is in circulation? How many dollars are actually in circulation right now? They said around 22 trillion. Okay, wait. So how can we ever get out of debt if we have not enough money really in the whole world to pay off the debts? We don't even have enough money to pay off the consumer debt and actually have a lot of money left over. I mean, literally, if we used every ounce of dollars in the world, we would not even really pay off the consumer debt. That's not counting corporate debt. That's not counting international debt. That's not counting America debt. So what I'm saying is, we're in a bad way when it comes to our dollar. Does that mean our dollar's failing? Well, let's kind of talk about the bank for a second. That same dollar that we were just talking about, say I make $1,000, I put $1,000 in the bank. Because of fractional lending, really the bank can take my money and utilize it and give it to someone else for them to turn around and use to, have debt or to basically start a business. Well, guess what? They take their money, put it in the bank. That same money that now was my money, a piece of it was my money, the bank took from me, gave it to someone else to borrow, to then turn around and then put a little piece of money back for them, the bank, to then loan out again. Do you understand that? That is just crazy. That's how we get to 50 or 60 trillion dollars worth of debt and actually only have 20 something trillion truly in circulation. That means we don't have enough money to pay off our debts. The banks actually could not give you all your money back. Do you realize that? Here's another thing. Did you realize the FDIC does not have enough insurance to cover more than about 7 or 8 big banks in the world? In America, really. That's really what it comes down to. If 2 or 3 monster banks failed, do you realize they could not pay your money back without printing more money, which would cause for hyperinflation, i.e. Argentina, Zimbabwe, I mean, where you're paying literally, $200,000 or $300,000 for a loaf of bread. That's where we're at. That is factual. We don't have enough money to actually pay our debts. Now let's talk about Congress for a second. What Congress is doing is spending your money. Now, there's only one way to solve spending your money. You don't spend the money. Now, that was pretty easy, wasn't it? Very kindergartenish here. If you don't have money and it's not your money to spend, then you don't need to spend the money. And for some reason, we keep electing these same people to do exactly the opposite of what we want. Did you know that you can actually do what Trump is wanting? You actually could deregulate, you could lower the tax rate, you could lower the burden, you could cut the budget like Doge was trying, like Elon was trying, and you can actually balance the budget and truly start seeing some headway on the debt. Did you know if we just went back to 2019 spending, meaning pre-pandemic spending, we would actually be in what we consider a surplus right now? Argentina is doing this exact thing right now. They're actually putting money towards their debt, lower their inflation and their interest. Game changer. But they also were in a very, very bad spot, way worse than what we are. The problem is our currency tends to be what we call the world currency as of right now. So we think that we just have an endless way of printing money. We have an endless supply. Well, that is a false thing. Now, in the midst of all this that we're talking about, guess what? Guess what the worst thing about this is? The black swan of all this is not only do we have a debt, we have a liability. Social Security, Medicare, pension funds. They said that's hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of liabilities. People are not having as many children. The taxation is realizing that it's not helping most Americans, so people are moving away and migrating away from those higher tax places. So what we're actually seeing now is not only are we struggling to pay the debts, America is either going to have to print a lot more money to cover the liabilities, the things that we've already quote-unquote promised. For the hundreds of millions of Americans that's already paid into Social Security, that's hoping it's going to be there, it may not be. And if it is, they're going to have to print a lot, so that means your money's not going to go as far. I think that's why Trump is doing this $1,000 child, giveaway, which, again, for the fact of freedom, this is a very socialistic move. However, it's sad because we're having to do this because people don't know how to save money. But that was yesterday's video. So you see, we're in a very, very bad spot. Banks, as good as they want to tell you they're in a good spot, they're in a very, very bad spot. The stock market, it looks like it's doing great, but it's in a very, very bad spot because all this is based on fake and false money. Fiat currency that actually is not good because we're borrowing money that's already borrowed to give to someone else that's already been given. And so it's just like a bunch of promises, and all of a sudden one black swan event, and all of a sudden it's gone. That is where we're at. Now, Colby, why is that a big deal? I mean, the world revolves around our dollar. True. So that means when we hurt, the rest of the world will hurt. Did you know we are in a dollar devaluing? From January to now is the hardest time on the dollar we've had since when the dollar came off the gold standard. Do you understand that? Like, we're in the worst time of devaluing dollars compared to the rest of the world. Now, is that Trump's fault? No, that's actually the last 50 years' fault because we keep spending money that we don't have. Now, should Trump have done better on the bill? Yes. Now, how do we go forward from here? The only way Trump can solve this problem is you got to balance the budget, you got to fight the rhinos, and you actually have to get the money coming in. Now, we have seen hundreds of billions of dollars literally trickle in from investment and tariffs. Great thing. We just made a bill, though, that basically is going to cost us $3.3 to $5 trillion extra towards our debt. So the only way to overcome it from the political standpoint is you've got to make the economy boom. I don't know if the economy can boom enough to cover that kind of debt, though. I will say that. But here's what you could do. You could set up a balanced budget. You could, as Trump, actually put the Doge cuts actually in, the $500 billion, which is just literally a penny in a coffee can, but it is a step in the right direction. And also you can make sure that you are balancing a budget to where you cannot spend over that. Now, Besson is wanting to basically do that, the 3-3-3 plan, kind of like what Dalio says, where basically you cannot overspend your GDP but by a certain percentage. You cannot have your inflation and your interest over certain percentages. That's all great. But the bottom line is we're not there. We're working towards that, but that kick the can down the road mentality has pretty much, been what we've done for 50 years. So that's why we're in the problem we're in. So that causes a major problem for the debt, a major problem for the dollar. And now what do we do? Now we're going to get into that, but before that, let's talk about our sponsor, because it's about saving money. My parents are 65. Actually, my dad turned 65 this week. My mom is turning 65 in just a few months. So they've been thinking about all this, what debt looks like, what money looks like, what Medicare looks like, what, Social Security looks like. So they've been having these conversations. One of the biggest ones has been with Medicare. What does insurance and health look like? What kind of part do I need? What supplement do I need? Who's the one that's going to actually sell it to me? I feel like everybody's got their hand in the cookie jar and just telling me what they want based on what they're going to make. Well, that's why we started doing research and found out Chapter. They're basically an advisor for you. All they do is work for you to literally find the best plan for you when it comes to Medicare. If you are on Medicare, or fisting to look at Medicare, or trying to find out the best plan for you, please call this number below. Here's the thing, it's free. It literally costs you nothing. There is no gimmicks, there is no sales pitch. They're not trying to make tons of money off of you. They're not going to try to sell you anything. It's free. They just want to help you. The average American saves $1,100 on Chapter. Some can save even more. So please do not miss out on this opportunity. Now say, for instance, you have the best plan. Someone sold you the best plan. Chapter is going to tell you that and say, hey, you've got the best plan. But for the majority of Americans, they save $1,100 because they're not on the right plan, or they're looking into the wrong plan, or they're on the wrong part or the supplement. The benefit of Chapter is they find out the best plans that benefits you, for your doctors, for your medicines, for your hospitals, for your area, the best option. They search the whole country for you. They're advising you. 20, 30-minute phone call, free, could save you a lot of money. When we're talking about this video being about dollars and cents, that makes the most dollars and cents. Check out Chapter today. The link in the description is below, but also the phone number is right on the screen. Check them out. I promise you, it's going to benefit you. A lot of times people want to sell you something. Here, we're just trying to save you some money. Check with Chapter. Now, Colby, you've talked about all the negatives. You talked about how we're not going to be able to pay our debts. You talked about the bank is failing. You talked about the stock market's failing. What are we going to do? Well, that's what I've been talking about and thinking about really for the last 10 years. Trying to figure out what is my next plan. So here's what I've done. And I believe this is what every one of us as Americans should be doing. First of all, quit, I say this like a broken record, quit electing people who are going to Washington to do the same old, same old. We were hoping better for Trump. We were hoping better for RFK. We've gotten some things that's been beneficial, but then we still get the Pam Bondis. We still get the Lindsey Grahams in Congress and Senate. We still get the Mike Johnsons that are weak, the John Thunes that are weak. We got to quit electing these people. I mean, literally, we have every answer in our hands to elect better people, and we still elect the same people. You know why? Because what we tend to do is skip out on primaries and just worry about the general elections. Quit skipping the primaries. And not only this, I want you to beg and plead people who are honest people to run for office. Honestly. Like in my area, there's a few people I'm like, please, I'll back you. Please run. Please run. Be a better representative than we have. Be a better senator than we have. Please do better. Look, I'm saying this, and my U.S. senator is, I literally saw her in Walmart and TJ Maxx the last 2 weeks because she's local. But to be honest with you, she's just like every other Republican. She just keeps spending money. Now, is she a great business leader here in town? Has she done great things? She owns a farm? That's great. That's wonderful. But when they get to Washington, it's like they lose their marbles because they're like, oh, it's just a deep water and there's no point in us trying to swim through it. Let's just sink and be like everybody else. So we have to actually elect people that's going to do the job. Trump right now, Elon is going to literally cause a major rift when it comes to the third party situation. It's going to pull from Trump and the populists and the libertarians more, which will affect the Republican Party more than it will the Democrats, because they're becoming more socialist, so they don't care about Elon or Trump or anything like that. So it's going to divide our party. So that means we have a smaller window than we thought we had. The only way for Trump to be successful and make this change is to cut the budget, to literally primary all the people that are willing to keep on spending money. get out of endless wars and start balancing the budget. You actually have solutions with the tariffs. Great. Bring the money to the table and let's go ahead and write the deals. You know, we're fixing to extend. I think it's today they're actually extending another tariff thing to where they're trying to negotiate more. Quit doing all that. Get to the answer. Either tariff the people or cut it and be done with it and start building our money back up. Quit worrying about what the stock market looks like. Quit worrying about the speculation and start actually saving money. I think also we need to get away from crypto. Now, crypto, here's why I'll bring up BlackRock and what I talked about in the intro. BlackRock now is embracing crypto. They're coming and saying Bitcoin's going to go to 700,000. Well, that means it's at 100,000 now. A lot of people's made a lot of money. A lot of people's seen all these rich tech bros online. So all of a sudden now everybody thinks they've got to get into digital currency because they're going to get rich quick. All of a sudden BlackRock gets into it. Goldman Sachs. The stock market gets into it. Chase is backing it. All these big players are backing it. Your president's backing it. The Democrats are backing it. Everybody's backing crypto. The new party, American Party, is going to be based in Bitcoin and crypto. You know why this is a problem? Because the blockchain and crypto, no matter how they say it's a parallel and it's different than our market, what we've realized is when our market goes down, Bitcoin pretty much goes down too. It's so much more volatile and so much more speculative. And guess what? It's still not based on real money. Also, another problem with crypto, two things. You don't have enough energy and grid capacity to actually mine the crypto and actually hold the crypto. So that means grid collapse means your money collapses. Also is this, what does dollars give you? What does cash give you? What does having true asset, tangible money give you? Tangible gold give you? It actually gives you freedom. When everything you own is on a platform and it's on digitized forms, then you actually do not have control of that. BlackRock said, Larry Fink said not too long ago when he was pushing for this now new crypto push he's doing, he said what we need to do is start changing people's mindset. And what we do is we force that. We force that on the businesses. The reason he was able to put in so much ESG and DEI situations with the last administration was because he had enough influence and leverage into those businesses because of the investment of BlackRock. What do you think he's doing with crypto? What in the world do you think he's doing when he's buying up all this land? What do you think he's doing getting so tied in to the Panama Canal and with the Trump administration? He's doing the exact same thing. He's getting leverage. When we give the major banks and BlackRock and people like it the leverage, then what they're doing is going to take over that market too. Do you know stock market? I said this yesterday in the video. Did you know the stock market is about 82 to 83% of the stock market is owned by the biggest 10 banks or players or funders, asset or equity managers? That means when you're in retirements or investments are in there, they're really not your money. They are your money in a way, but they're doing it and using it the way they want to use it. You're just a little, small, tiny minnow in the ocean. So what I'm saying is this. Your power in the stock market is pretty weak. You buying something or not buying something or selling something, it's not going to change much. But when they move the market, they can move it with one sale. What if I all of a sudden gain all your Bitcoin? They tell you, get on these digital currencies, get on these stable coins, get on all this stuff, and they take it on purpose. Then what do? You go and you say, please, government, please, big business, help us out. You don't believe that's going to happen? 50% of people live paycheck to paycheck. 50% of people have less than $1,000 in the bank. Only 14% of Americans have $50,000, which is basically just a small figment of retirement going into their retirement age. Less than 14%. They said less than 14% has any kind of nest egg that's truly going to give them some kind of financial independence in retirement. 41 million people a month partake in food stamp program. We say that all to say we are dependent on a system. And if we keep electing the same people to do the same old thing, and we keep depending on them to fix it instead of us being more responsible. Because here's the thing, we're also in around $22 trillion worth of debt. The Americans are, with the mortgages and the student loans and all that. It's impossible to get out of all this debt. So you're either going to see one of three things. The government do better and start actually trickling it down, like we tell you, like almost like a Dave Ramsey plan where you said debt snowball. You're just going to work hard at it and do the best you can You're going to hit some hiccups, but ultimately you're making better strides. That would be wonderful. That would be in a perfect world. Secondly, the devaluing of the dollar and it crashes. We're in that place, but guess what happens when the dollar goes to devaluing and we need to help? We may reset the debt, but it's either going to happen in a hyperinflation because they're going to print more dollars, or everybody's going to move away from the dollar, and i.e. goes to stable coins, digital assets, digital ID, and ultimately that is absolute full control of you. Thirdly, is you literally just cease to exist as a nation. You go into a massive depression, and pretty much you're in, aggressive turmoil, civil war, hyperinflation, or literally a new revolution. That means there's only one option. You have to awaken your politicians to quit spending your money. We have too much liabilities, too much debt. Now, I'm going to talk to you because you can't do everything other than vote to better your politician. But here's what you can do. You spread your risk out. You start buying a little gold and silver. Now, this is what I'm personally doing. I'm not an advisor. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I'm spreading it out. I've bought some gold and silver. I have several ounces of gold and silver. I'm not going to tell you how much, but several. I do have, I'm going to blow your mind. I do have some money on some crypto exchanges. Not any true wealth, but just a little bit, to have my foot in the door just in case something happened and I had to get out of a place or utilize it in a way. If I lost every bit of it, it's not a big portion, but I have some on a digital asset that I can use, almost like a cash out, that if I'm in a bind, I've got. All right? I keep a lot of cash. I believe in cash. Now, Colby, you just said the dollar was failing. Yes, and there's a point where the dollar will probably cease to exist. So therefore, they'll give you a holiday to turn your money in. Here's what's going to happen. I don't like turning your money in because this is what they're going to do. They're going to say, for every dollar, we're going to give you 100 Bitcoin or 100 this or 100 ETH or 100 stable coins. So they're going to make it incentivized to get rid of your dollar. It's going to reset the currency, but ultimately being in full control of you. The benefit of holding the dollar is you still have a parallel right now. Right now, cash is still king, and you still can be able to buy things with freedom. So buy the gold, buy the 2A rights, buy the food, buy the land, buy everything you can without everybody knowing about what you're buying with cash. If all of a sudden cash crashes, they have to make you turn in your cash, then therefore you're probably going to get more money of your, you're going to have a little bit more leverage because they're going to want your cash to get rid of it, so you're going to be able to get more of whatever their new currency is. Not that I'm agreeing for it, not that I want stable coins or cryptos, but they're going to eventually get you on that platform. Then you've got to say, okay, well, all that puts me in a very precarious situation. So what are we doing? Well, I'm investing in myself. So I'm buying more seed. I'm buying more opportunities for land. So I'm not buying more land. I'm just saying, okay, I'm going to take in this piece of land so I can use it better. Now, I have bought 15 more acres that was adjacent to me, and that's where my cows are grazing now if you watch my other channel. But slowly and surely, I'm going to just keep adding more value to the land I have. I'm going to grow more gardens. I'm going to grow more livestock. I'm going to make sure my kids are able to have a house here that we're going to build little tiny homes so we can work the land together. So I'm building a better asset pool when it comes to frugality, but also utilizing what God has given us, being good stewards better. I'm keeping my pond stocked up. I'm learning how to grow better. I've built a greenhouse. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go build a 30 by 30 greenhouse. You could build a 10 by 10. You could build an 8 by 10. You could take an old building, put, glass tops on it and make it your own little greenhouse. The purpose is I'm learning how to grow and be more independent, because all of a sudden, if everything goes to digital assets and stable coins, what if they say, well, we're not going to allow you to buy this week? Remember what BlackRock said, what Larry Fink said. He said, we learn to manipulate and we learn to leverage our holdings to change the pattern. We made businesses buy into ESG, into DEI. Do you realize that? That's what we don't understand. The reset of the 2030 and stuff, all that's still taking place. It just has a different head on it. Not Trump, but ultimately the establishment behind it is still blowing money, and it's going to cause for the dollar to fail. Is it time to panic? To be honest with you, we should have been panicking for the last 20 or 30 years to fix the problem. Now it's still a time of saying, okay, we see the panics happen. It's really too late probably to fix the dollar, but we've got to do all we can to get that independence that the dollar still gives us. Keeping cash, buying gold and silver, If you want to buy a little crypto, that's fine. Just please don't put a lot of money in it. Just keep a little portion of it if you do. Again, I'm against it. Personally, I'm not going to put my wealth in it. And trust me, I'm not going to change any of my dollars for that. I'd rather buy the land. I'm going to appreciate the land. I'm going to appreciate the value of what I have, so I'm going to learn to utilize it better. I'm going to grow seeds. I'm going to grow animals. That's what I'm doing. Personally, that's what I'm doing. If I could find a way that I can buy a little bit more real estate, or I could build a little building that's going to help me in some other way, I'm going to do it. If there's a way that I can buy an old antique vehicle that's not going to devalue, it's only going to bring value, I'm going to use that and make that an asset. Like the Hummer I bought. If you've ever seen my military Hummer, it's old as me. It is literally 37 years old, and I've revamped it, and now it is a vehicle that will literally take me and go wherever it needs to go without a problem. It's literally a military grade Hummer. Now, those are some big expenses. Buying seeds is a few dollars. Buying some silver literally is a few dollars. Putting your money under your bed mattress takes nothing other than just not buying the latte this week. So there's things that you can do, because here's what I've learned. Independence comes by you doing better. Do I still have money in the stock market? Yes. And I've moved some to gold, and I've moved some to silver, and I've turned around and moved some to equities. I've moved some overseas. I'm trying to spread that out as much as we possibly can. But to be honest with you, the market is still pretty much owned by the same players that is now buying into crypto and Bitcoin, and pretty much still rules and regulated by the government. So is that the answer? Really? No. So let's wrap it up. The dollar is failing, but it's not failed yet. The government has got to be fixed. If it's not fixed, it's going to put us in that death spiral even quicker. Then who's going to rescue us? Big business, big government, socialist style reforms. That will take place more and more, and we're going to accept it because we are dependent, as we said, between rent, mortgages, debt, and really dependency on the government to provide everything that we have. It's happening. So we have got to get more independent. We've got to buy the things that are the parallel. Keep cash, buy gold and silver, buy the seeds, invest in the land, appreciate your land, utilize it well, and start learning how to be independent. I'm not saying become Amish, but I'm saying learn from the Amish. I'm not saying become like your great-grandfathers and grandmothers that lived on the little farm and raised the animals. I'm not saying do that, but I am saying you can learn from them. You can learn how to save money and learn how the people went through the Great Depression, because I believe we're going to see literally war, depression, or a major black swan event. Not because we want to, not because that's going to happen automatically. It's not because there's some nefarious bad players, which I think there's a lot of bad players. I think it's just going to happen because we don't have enough dollars to pay our debts, consumer debts, business debts. There's not enough dollars for it all. Plus we're in piles of debt, and guess what? We just did a spending bill. 3.3 trillion at least. So Trump has got to change his policies and get Congress on board. With Elon starting his new thing, with the fact that we have a midterm coming up, which would destroy everything, the time is now. If they do not solve the problem now and start getting on a better footing, you better have these plans in. And we're past the time of panic, and I think we're in a time of getting ready for depression or war. If they try to do a reset and try to change your currency, that's only going to make for hyperinflation. That doesn't solve anything. They're going to get rid of your debt, like they were trying to do with student loans, by the way. If they try to give you more money and stimulate it, that's going to make inflation. You know, it's like my grandmother used to say, if you make a hard bed, you got to sleep in it. Sometimes we're just in a hard bed and we've got to sleep in it, and we've got to learn to deal with the problems that we've made. There is no easy button on this situation. So you work, you become more independent, you try to build your own parallel society, because when the government fails you, you've got to stand up and take responsibility. Because in times of history, guess what? Governments have failed their people, and the people have rose up and actually did the job and become responsible. That's what I'm asking you to do. Become independent, become, I don't want to say ungovernable, but I do want to say become vigilant and be the person that your government is not wanting you to become. Independence scares them. Sustainability scares them. Prepping scares them. Homesteading scares them. Homeschool scares them. You become that. And be different. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on today's video. I wanted to focus strictly on the dollar today because with everything going on, the talks of tariffs, the push off today, the fact that the beautiful bill just passed, the fact that you have the Democrats moving literally to more socialism and communism, and now you've just split the Republican Party into two, we're in a bad place. And it's time to really pay attention to what the dollar is doing. Thank you guys for watching. God bless.